a point to prove, haven't they?
Well, they
Because there was
put Walmsley
Ratchford's
back on the
tackle on
field at
those as
half
well.
time, which is not usual, but they knew that they needed to get a boost, so they put Walmsley back on the field for the start of the second half, didn't they? And I thought, hey, up, the ante's risen here, and it did.
Yeah, it was interesting the way they used Walmsley, because I thought that obviously they brought him on for the last 5, didn't they? They were they used him differently. They don't usually use him in that pattern, which it's, as you said, it suggests that they were worried about how the momentum of the match was going. And if it wasn't for that good goal line defence, they'd definitely probably conceded 1 or 2 tries there, you'd say. What did you think of their second half try, the Grace try out wide?
Oh, it was really clever play by Theo Farge. I mean, it shows that Saints' halfbacks, Saints' sort of pivots, the only one who plays almost to a structure is Lachlan Coote, and he'll pop up on both sides of the field like good fullbacks will do and deliver good passes like he did for Kevin Nguama's try. But he's the only one that sort of almost plays to a structure, and the 2 halfbacks do play what they see, turn up where they need to turn up, and that was really impressive by Farge. And it showed Bentley can play in the centres with his play, with his pass as well, was exceptional.
Yeah, the photo fit as you christened him last week, which I loved, by the way. He's got potential at centre. He's got potential at second row / hooker / loose forward, whatever.
On potential at second row. I think he's got ability to play elsewhere. I think he's delivered in the second, personally, but right.
What I'm saying is he can still. He's still young enough to be flexible, but I think he probably is a second rower. Probably
going back to those roaring gifted youngsters again.
Yeah, they're the ones. But I think Austin taking the short dropout when they were under the pump. That's kind of brave, but typical of what you get from him. And then obviously you've got the Falcon, which kind of decisive, wasn't it? Really, in the end.
Well, in the end, that and Lachlan Coote's missed conversion, which felt like he's not missed a kick for months, so I was quite pleased with that. But they were, the closer you get to the end, the more these things become seemingly significant. Of course, there was the ruled out try in the first half. Mamo, who was brilliant again. They're not, line them off as a lot, but Mamo's deserves to start every week for Warrington in whichever position they need to put him in at the moment, because he's been brilliant the last month or so.
Yes.
But I didn't think the pass was forward, so I thought it was fairly ruled out. But that was another marginal decision that people might look at in this game really early on in the game. That's not going to have the significance. It was before Gelling's try, wasn't it? That
it was early on. Yeah,
it's not going to have the significance as the Falcon maybe had, so it's not going to get talked about. But there was lots of small moments in this game, and in the end, the bounce of the ball went to the side that I feel deserved the look through their performance over the 80 minutes, because Warrington did show great goal line resolve a number of times during the game. They did, like you say, they took chances to win the game. Even when they were in front in the game, they took chances to stay in front in the game and keep the, they took risks, whereas Saints took the safe option with the 2. Warrington took the risk with the short dropout, stuff like that. I'd say Warrington totally deserved it on those moments, and that piece of luck, I'm all for it when it means the team that I feel was the better team in the 80 minutes wins.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think even after the Nguama try, I think the only thing I've made a note about is Tyre's break. Other than that, why are restricted Saints to having that one chance to actually, go ahead? So it said to me that they were, at that point, we all know how dangerous Saints can be, but they actually, when you look at the chances they had during that kind of last, 5 minutes or so, they barely had a shot at them, which is it's to Warrington's credit, I would say. And it was close, but they deserved it.
Another brilliant moment in this match, actually, that we haven't talked about yet. This game was brilliant. Another great moment in this match that we haven't talked about yet, and we'll redress the balance here, because I've picked out a couple of errors by Coote, haven't we? or things that didn't do great. The miss on the 40-20 and the missed kick at the end, but that cover tackle on Matty Ashton in the first half, where he read the play perfectly with Blake Austin's pass to Matty Ashton. And we saw when Matty Ashton scored his try that if Coote hadn't played that perfectly, it would have been a try. Absolute credit there for that brilliant piece of defensive play from the fullback.
Yeah, but just well, at least Saints are not going to lose a semi for the not this one at least.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Should we move on to the last game?
Let's move on to the last game. It was again not as enthralling as the one that preceded it on Saturday, the second game on Saturday, but it was Hull FC playing against Wigan. It was 26-0 to Wigan at half time, despite what the people in the studio of the BBC kind of tried to say. Kind of forcing Jamie Peacock to play a role of suggesting it wasn't all over. I think everyone else felt it was all over. It finished 36 points to 4, so Wigan didn't keep the nil in this one. Robert Hicks was the referee. We had a few different views come in.
Yeah, so Joshua's granddad said, game over after 15 minutes, simply too many basic errors. Wynne had a mare, but not only one failing to produce. Possibly the world's weakest front row to start the match. Sow and Satay give some good go forward, but too late. For all Connor's natural ability, he's not the answer at 6.
White Pie said, another solid performance from Wigan against a Hull side clearly struggling after 3 games in 10 days. Hull made too many errors and Wigan carried on where they left off in Perpignan, taking their chances as they came. The Pearl was a standout, and Manfredi will be having next week off after his head knock, as I doubt he knows what day of the week it is, even now after he got a tackle very wrong. Yeah, that was a nasty looking head injury. I mean,
yeah, he didn't. He looked. He looked like he'd had a few too many pints. His legs were not under him.
The fact that Tommy Luluai was like, and the touch judge were both straight into him to stop him from falling over was, symptomatic of how much he'd lost his marbles. Unfortunately, from the badly sort of aimed hit. Was it on to Framo, who actually was maybe a Hull player who didn't come out of this disgraced, but. Yeah.
No, he carried the ball well. Yeah, I think he just got his head on the wrong side, didn't he? Lee Whitnell said it only looked like one team turned up to actually try to get into the semi-final. Yeah, can't disagree.
Jen K said nothing better than watching Wigan play really well. Looked like a training ground stuff at times. The bounce of the ball from Hardacre straight into French's hands pretty much summed up our afternoon. Hull got at Hull right from the beginning and played a perfect cup tie.
And Tom Andrews says, top 4 club fails to beat team of cheats. Championship team put 30-odd past 2 weeks ago. Has a caretaker coach ever been sacked live on television before?
So in the terms of the disciplinary, Manu Mau got a grade A, no match penalty notice for a high tackle, and Brad Fash got a caution for dangerous contact. Manu Mau's high tackle, I can't even remember. I thought it was on Joe Burgess, wasn't it? Which, Joe Burgess did sort of seem taken aback a bit by that one, but thankfully it wasn't serious. He didn't have to go off or anything like that, but he did take a couple of seconds to right himself before he played the ball, didn't he, on that instance? And that instance was late in the game before, like when it had kind of gone, it felt like... Well, saying that, it felt like the game had gone after 25 minutes, so any time after that was late in the game after the game had gone. Which is kind of why I don't buy into this 3 games in 10 days lark from a Hull FC perspective, because everything that went wrong for Hull FC went wrong in the first half, and the starting lineup had Connor Wynne, Tuma Varvey, Sneed, Matongo, Johnson, Fash, Mao, who all didn't play in both of the 2 previous games, and then also obviously the forwards would have been spelled in those games too. So, I don't buy in. I would have bought into that if it went away from him in the last 20 minutes, but it went away from him in the first 20 minutes. So I don't buy into that this time. I did feel, I felt sorry for Hull. I felt everything went wrong for them. Young Wynne at fullback had some nasty bounces that he just... Obviously, he could have done something different with, could have done better with, etc. But at the same time, they weren't all. It wasn't. It was bad luck as much as him performing badly that he had those 2 knocks on from those kicks, because they weren't great kicks. they weren't great kicks. And then right on the stroke of half time, the thing that made the game gone was the Joe Burgess try, and it was clearly the Hull players thought that the game had gone to be pushing the offloads at that stage and stuff to Mavavi and Fanua in particular, but for it to land just so that Burgess could pick it up, and it to land at him as Bevan French is the fastest player for Wigan, but Joe Burgess is probably the best sprinter, in terms of once he gets into his powerful stride, you know that there's only one kind of outcome there. Bevan French 20-30 yards, shit off a shovel, but Burgess over 100 I'm happy with. So I did think that was that then, and that there were touches of bad luck amongst all of that. Felt a bit sorry. I did feel a bit sorry for Hull FC from that point of view. It felt like everything that could go wrong for them in that first half with the bounce of the ball did go wrong for them in that first half, but Wigan took full advantage and were definitely the better side.
Yeah. I also don't buy into this 3-game in 10 days bullshit, because they've had six days since the last match. They played on Sunday last week. They'll often play 6 days apart. I think it's a ready excuse. We all know that FC have got this kind of performance in them. Early on, I mean, the Sam Powell try was way too soft for me. It was nice interchange of passes, but that kind of thing should be stopped so close to the line for me early on. And it felt to me
the Farrell try. I mean, talk about tries that should have been stopped.
Yeah, well,
and the bounce of the ball.
They're trying to let it go. But yeah, for me, Wigan. I'm not criticising Wigan, but Wigan didn't have to do very much. Their plan was quite simple early on. They went down the middle, and they just kept going down the middle because the gaps were always there, and the tackling was too soft. And yeah, Wigan didn't need to get out of second gear, so they didn't. And they did get the right bounce of the ball. You're right about that. As you say, Connor Wynn's unfortunate knock-ons and stuff, and some other things not going right.
As well on the side of the pitch, weren't he, when they had the break for Bevan French, which was a really nice try from Wigan's perspective, helped by the fact that the fullback wasn't there. So
it was against 12 men. Yeah, that helps.
So, like I say, everything went against, every bounce, every piece of luck went against Hull FC, but Wigan deserved it because they were better.
Yeah, that's a very good summary. I can't defend Hull FC's performance because it was poor before bad luck happened, and then bad luck just seemed to exacerbate it, and it put them into a spiral. And before you know it, it was 26-0, and the writing was on the wall. So
and Wigan were managing the side then in the second half. They had Luluai off the pitch and O'Loughlin playing at scrum half or standoff, and Sam Powell wasn't forced back on even though he passed his head check, because Wigan had kind of earned that luxury after the first half, and it meant that the only real concern out of the game was Don Manfredi's head knock.
Yeah. I've got to say, as a quarter-final, with the team with such a proud record as FC in the Cup, you dropped on here with this match because it was probably way easier than you could have ever dreamed of.
Yeah, I think the start of the game, Wigan earned that though. Sean O'Loughlin in the first 15 minutes was Sean O'Loughlin, quite simply. He was brilliant, and for his first game for ages and stuff, he was brilliant. And I do think Havard was very good to start the game as well. Oliver Partington played long minutes in this game and was really good, and Liam Farrell was really good. So Wigan had that experience in the likes of O'Loughlin and Farrell and Powell, who were all really good in that first half, in that first 20 minutes in particular, and then were able to cruise it.
Yeah, you were plenty good enough, and there were some good individual performances. I'm not denying that, but you weren't challenged. You didn't have the you weren't in a contest like the one before it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, and I felt I just feel a bit for the look in the way it went